Here's the truth that you probably don't want to hear, but you need to hear. Your team isn't lazy. It's just you as their leader haven't given them the right tools and the right structure. You haven't built the right culture to help them thrive. Hey, I know what you're thinking, but yeah, Wayne, if you actually knew my team, you would probably think they're lazy. They're not motivated. They're not wanting to be held accountable. I used to think and feel that exact same way until I discovered this one tool from a book that you have probably never heard of. That book is called The Game of Work. And in that book, the author, Chuck, lays out this simple tool that I'm going to walk you through over the next few minutes that's going to transform your team. Now, I know that sounds too good to be true, but I've experienced this in my own team. You see, I spent 8 years building a team, and every single day I would wake up thinking, wonder what's going to happen now. I wonder who's going to call in sick. I wonder who's not going to show up on time. I wonder what problem I'm going to have to solve for them today. Even though they're getting paid to do it, I'm going to have to jump in and solve that problem. I spent 8 years leading my team that way, thinking they were the problem. When I discovered this one simple tool, it transformed everything. You see, they went from being quote unquote lazy to being self-motivated, self-accountable, and high performers, all because of this one tool. And I'm going to walk you through this tool right now. This tool is called the field of play. And we want to think about this field of play as if it is a football field, okay? This is your field of play. Now, you'll notice there's some different lines here than you typically see on a football field. And I'm talking about US football here, American football. We want to think about moving people towards this goal line. Up here at the very top is the goal line. This is where we want our team to get to. Whether that's your company goal or whether that's an individual goal, there is a goal line. The question for you as a leader is, do they know the goal line? Do they know the goal line for the company? And then do they know the goal line for their role and how they contribute to that goal line? We're going to define the goal line. And I'll get into this in just a little bit more detail. But over on this side of the field, we have what's called terminal out of bounds. What does that mean? Terminal out of bounds simply means this, that if someone on your team steps over here, if they step out of bounds on that side of the field, they are going to be fired, right? There's probably no room for question there. It is something that is going to result in their termination. Now, these are things like stealing, lying, manipulating, getting in fights with other people in the office or with clients or whatever that may be, right? You, I'm sure, have a list of these things that they know that if they do, they're going to get fired. So we just want to make sure if you don't have these, that you get these clearly spelled out so that everyone's on the same page in terms of what's going to get them fired. Then on this side, we have what's called operational out of bounds. Now, on the operational out of bounds, these are going to be things where they may step out of bounds from time to time, but they're not going to get fired for stepping out of bounds occasionally. Now, if something becomes a habit or a pattern, they will probably get fired or terminated for this or because of this. These would be things like showing up late, right? You show up late once, show up late twice, maybe not that big of a deal, but if it's a continual conversation, it's going to lead to termination. Or another one may be, here's the way we respond to emails or phone calls, right? We respond within 4 business hours. Now, if somebody doesn't respond within 4 business hours, are you going to fire them? No, you're going to give them a warning or say, hey, here's why we operate this way. But if they keep doing it, they will probably get terminated. Down here, this is the performance minimum. So we want everybody above this performance minimum line. And what we want to do is we want to teach people that if they're below this basic line, they need to be asking how. How do I get above this base level line? And so this is a conversation with your team where you teach them that they need to be humble. They don't need to come in the door thinking, I already know all this. I've got all this figured out. Maybe they're coming from another job, or maybe they just graduated. And so they may come in with a slightly inflated sense of ego or a slightly inflated sense of knowing what they need to do. But if they're below this minimum performance line, they need to be humble. They need to be coming to you or to the manager asking, how do I get above this baseline? Now, the next thing we have are going to be these lead metrics. Lead metric 1, lead metric 2, lead metric 3. And these are going to be important. You see, when we have the big goals, so let's just say that for your team, the goal this quarter is you want to reach $400,000 in revenue. That's the goal for the whole department, the team that you lead. Now, the next question is, as an individual, what percentage or what portion of that goal is my goal line? So if you have 4 people on your team, maybe each of them get a $100,000 goal. So the goal for the quarter is I have to reach $100,000 in revenue. And so let's just use that as an example. That's what I'm aiming towards. Now, you go to your team and say, okay, this is what we want to aim towards. Your goal is to get $100,000 in revenue this quarter. The next question you ask them is you simply say this: what are the 3 most important things that you can do that are going to contribute to reaching this goal? Now, this conversation is going to take place at the beginning of a quarter, or the end of the quarter, leading into the next quarter, right? So we're going to have this conversation every single quarter. And what we want to do is we want to empower them to think on their own, to think and figure out what are some lead metrics that I can do this quarter that are going to lead me to reaching this goal. So this one may be number of conversations. So I'm going to have 100 conversations. That could be the lead metric there, right? This one could be I'm going to create 12 remarkable experiences for past clients, all right? And this one over here could be I'm going to spend 10 hours learning and teaching something new. So each of these 3 lead metrics are going to help them get to that goal, right? And there's a subtle difference here that I want to point out. There's a difference between a lead metric and a lag metric. So a lead metric is something that you or your team member has complete control over, right? It's something that they can actually control. A lag metric, on the other hand, is an outcome. So we don't often have control over the outcomes, but we always have control over the input. So these are going to be input-based things that they can actually control. Because if we allow them to put lag metrics here, what's going to happen is they're going to get behind very early on and they're going to give up because they have no control. So if this were, I'm going to get 10 signed contracts, right? They don't have a lot of control over who signs a contract or who doesn't, but they do have a lot of control over the number of conversations that they have, right? Because they can go through the list, they can call previous customers, they can go prospecting, they can go door to door, whatever it may be. They have a lot of control over that particular lead metric. So you want to make sure that you teach them, that you show them the difference between lead and lag metrics. Now, here's where the beauty of this comes in. Every single week, you're going to meet with your team as a whole, and they're going to make commitments under each of these lead metrics. So for the 12 weeks of the quarter, week number 1, they're going to say, okay, this week I'm going to go visit with 15 previous clients. So that's what their commitment is for that week. For lead metric number 2, it's 12 remarkable experiences. So they're going to make a list week 1 of previous clients that they can create remarkable experiences for. So all they're doing this first week is making that list. And then 10 hours of learning over here, they're going to choose the course that they're going to take. So that's all they're doing on week number 1. So then what's going to happen week number 2, they're going to come through here and they're going to make their next week's commitment. And these commitments, the whole goal of each of these commitments is to lead them to completing or achieving that lead metric. And the goal of each of those lead metrics is to get them to reach their goal line. And so what's going to happen when you sit down with your team, you're going to go through this. They're going to say, hey, my goal is by the end of these 12 weeks, I'm going to reach $100,000 in revenue. Lead metric number 1 is I'm going to have 100 conversations with prospective clients. This week, my commitment was to have 15 conversations with previous clients. And what we have them do is we have them shade that. So if they're done, they're going to shade that green. If it's not done or partially done, they're going to shade it orange. And then if it's not done at all, they're going to shade that red. So then they're going to say, okay, for lead metric number 2 is to create 12 remarkable experiences from our previous clients. The goal of that is obviously to get referrals from them. So this past week, I made a list of those that I could. That's been completed. So I shade that green. Lead metric number 3 is to complete 10 hours of learning and training so that I can get better at what I do. This past week, I decided on this course. I'm going to do this course. And then they're going to go backwards through this list and they're going to say, okay, now for this week, here are my commitments. This week, I'm going to spend 1 hour learning, 1 hour. For this one, I'm going to order the first gift for the first client. And for this one, I'm now going to call 20 prospects. Cold outreach. So they're going to go through this, and then your job is to teach your team to challenge each other, to say, okay, hey, Wayne, if you order the gift for your client right now, is that going to give you enough time to do 12 remarkable things for your customers over the next quarter? Or for this one, 100 conversations, someone may say, hey, Wayne, I see that you last week you had 15 conversations. This week you're committing to 20. Based on the event you have coming up on Friday, is that realistic? Are you going to have enough time to have those 20 conversations this week. And so what you're doing is you're teaching your team to hold each other accountable and to hold themselves accountable by displaying their commitments in front of the entire team. And when you implement this simple, basic structure, this fill to play structure into your organization, what happens is this magic word called clarity. And when everyone is clear about where you're going and why it matters, everything else gets so much simpler and so much easier in your business because everyone is pushing and going towards the same direction, the same end goal. Now, I know there's lots of nuances here, lots of questions. I would love to answer those. So if you've got a question, drop it in the comments below and I will do my best to answer those questions. Or if anything is unclear, let me know in the comments and be sure to subscribe and follow because I've got more great content on how to build a team that is self-accountable and high performance. Until the next one.